Right now, there is a piece of paper in someone's pocket that can move a house, feed a family for a month, or start a war. It has no gold behind it. It isn't rare. It's cotton and ink. And yet the entire planet has agreed, silently, that it's worth something. Now here's the strange part. For 300,000 years, humans lived, traded, married, built, and died, with none of it. No coins, no cash, no cards. So how did anyone get anything? How did you buy food when there was no such thing as buying? The answer is far weirder than the story you were taught in school. And by the end of this video, you might realize that money was never real to begin with. Let's start by killing the myth. You've probably heard it. Before money, people used barter. You have a chicken, I have some bread, we trade. Simple, clean, logical. There's just one problem. It almost never happened. Anthropologists have searched for centuries, and they have never found a single society that actually ran on pure barter. Not one. The idea was invented by economists who simply assumed that's how it must have worked. But when researchers went out and studied real communities that lived without money, they found something completely different, and honestly, much stranger. Because think about it, barter has a fatal flaw. If you have fish and you want an axe, you have to find a person who has an axe and wants fish, and wants it right now, before your fish rots. That almost never lines up. Economists call it the double coincidence of wants. In real life, it's a nightmare. So humans did something much smarter. They didn't trade, they remembered. For most of human history, people lived in small groups where everyone knew everyone. And instead of swapping goods on the spot, they simply kept a running mental tally of who owed what. If you caught extra fish, you gave it to your neighbor. Not as a trade, as a favor. And everyone quietly remembered. Weeks later, when your roof needed fixing, that neighbor showed up. No coins changed hands. The currency was memory, reputation, and trust. In a way, the first money in human history wasn't an object at all. It was your word. But this only works when everyone knows everyone. The moment you have to deal with strangers, people you'll never see again, who owe you nothing, trust breaks down. And that's exactly when humans needed to invent something physical. Something you could hand over that carried value on its own. And the first money they reached for will surprise you, because it wasn't gold, it was cattle. Across the ancient world, from Africa to Europe to India, the wealth of a person was measured in animals: cows, sheep, goats. A cow was perfect in a way. It was valuable, useful, it produced milk, and it could even make more of itself. In fact, our word cattle and the word capital come from the same root. And when the Romans paid soldiers, the word they used came from pecus, meaning livestock. Even the word pecuniary, meaning relating to money, literally means of cows. But cattle had obvious problems. You can't split a cow in half to buy something small. You can't carry a herd in your pocket, and they get sick and die. So humans kept searching for something better, something valuable, portable, and countable. And what they found, again and again, all over the world, was shells. For over 3,000 years, across 4 continents, one tiny object became the closest thing Earth had to a global currency: the cowrie shell. Small, smooth, nearly impossible to fake, and durable enough to last for generations. In parts of Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, these shells bought food, land, and even freedom. Entire economies ran on them. At one point, cowrie shells were so trusted that they moved along trade routes stretching thousands of miles, a form of money that connected people who couldn't even speak the same language. But shells were just the beginning of humanity's strangest experiment, turning random objects into value by pure agreement. On the island of Yap in the Pacific, people used money you literally could not lift. They carved giant stone discs, some 12 feet across, weighing thousands of pounds. These rye stones were so heavy they never moved. When one changed owners, the stone stayed exactly where it was. Everyone simply agreed, out loud, that it now belonged to someone else. There's even a legendary rye stone that sank to the bottom of the ocean during transport, and the islanders decided it still counted. It was still money. Nobody could see it, nobody could touch it, but everyone agreed it existed. Stop and think about how insane that is. A fortune, sitting on the ocean floor, worth something only because a group of people decided it was. And then realize, that is exactly how your bank account works today. Numbers on a screen you never actually touch, worth something only because we all agree. Elsewhere, humans turned to things that were valuable because they were necessary to survive. In parts of the ancient world, people were paid in salt, so precious for preserving food that it was worth its weight in effort. That's where the word salary comes from. To this day, when we say someone is worth their salt, we're echoing a time when salt itself itself was money. In China, people used tools, tiny bronze knives and spades, as currency. Over time, these shrank into small metal tokens, keeping the shape of the tool they replaced. In the great cities of Mesopotamia, the very first economies were built on grain. People stored barley in massive temple warehouses, and clay tablets tracked exactly who was owed what. Those clay tablets, some of the oldest writing on Earth, weren't poetry or prayers, they were receipts. Humanity may have invented writing itself just to keep track of debts, and that's the twist most people never see. Writing, one of our greatest inventions, may have been born not from a desire to tell stories, but from the need to remember who owed us money. Finally, around 2,600 years ago, in a kingdom called Lydia, in what is now Turkey, someone did something revolutionary. They took a lump of naturally occurring gold-silver metal, stamped it with an official mark, and guaranteed its weight and value. The first true coins were born. Suddenly, you didn't have to weigh or test the metal. The stamp did the trust for you. A king's mark meant, this is real, this is worth this much, I promise. And that changed everything. Coins were portable, durable, splittable, and countable. They spread across the world like wildfire because they solved the one problem every earlier form of money couldn't. They let total strangers trust each other instantly without knowing each other at all. From there, the story speeds up. Coins became heavy in large amounts, so China invented paper money, notes that promised the coins existed somewhere else. Paper became inconvenient for huge sums, so we invented banks and checks. Checks became slow, so we invented plastic cards. Cards became physical, so we turned money into pure data, numbers flying between screens at the speed of light. And here's where we end up. Look at what money has become. It started as a cow you could touch, then a shell you could hold, then a coin, then paper, then a number. With every step, money got less physical and more powerful. Today, the vast majority of the world's money doesn't exist as anything you can hold at all. It's just entries in a database, a shared agreement, a story we all tell each other. Which brings us back to that piece of paper in someone's pocket. It has no gold behind it. It isn't rare. It's cotton and ink. So why is it worth something? For the same reason a stone at the bottom of the ocean was worth something to the people of Yap. For the same reason your neighbor remembered the fish you gave him. Because money was never really about gold, or shells, or paper. It was always about trust. A promise between humans that a favor given will be a favor returned. Every coin, every bill, every number on your screen is just a frozen piece of that ancient agreement, the same one your ancestors kept in their memory 300,000 years ago. Money isn't a thing. It never was. It's a story we all agreed to believe, and the moment we stop believing it, it turns back into cotton and ink and stone. So the next time you hand over a bill without a second thought, remember, you're not passing paper, you're passing trust, the oldest currency our species ever had.